This is probably one of the weirdest stories I've covered here on this channel. Like, even outside of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, this Batgirl movie cancellation nonsense is just going from weirdest to weirder to just ever ensuing strange. Last we heard was that the directors have openly come out and stated that they tried to steal the footage and it was deleted from the server. Doesn't mean it's deleted overall. They have it. Warner Brothers has it. But Warner Brothers chose to remove it from the server so it was accessible. Wise decision, it's their property. Loads of people tried to defend the directors. I don't really understand why. They've been paid. It's not their property. They can't just take stuff. Now, that's, I understand people are trying to convey an argument to it. It's not one that there's no justifiable reason to take other people's property. It's not theirs. They've been paid. The exchange that was contractually obligated there has taken place. Like, it's not theirs. So it's not even up for debate, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. But now we learn that Warner Brothers are doing secret Batgirl screenings before the movie disappears off into the vault. It's so strange. It's the weirdest thing. Secret Batgirl screenings hit Warner Brothers lot. And they're calling it funeral screenings. Because they're going to put it under lock and key. What a fucking weird story. So the cancelled DC film is getting funeral screenings before footage is put under lock and key. Now, we heard that this wasn't even close to being done from the directors. Well, that's nonsense, isn't it? It is nonsense. Like, they'd already test screened it. So it's just lies upon lies upon lies. Now, I tell you what, it's probably not going to be the case. But can you imagine if this was all a marketing ploy, and then lo and behold, they come out and they're like, "Yep, we're gonna release it now. We're gonna give it to you all that wanted it. Ah, that secret film. You all get to have a look at it." People would be like, "Wow, yay!" I can imagine in a weird. Well, we live in a bizarre world anyway. But I can imagine in some kind of world that this would have been a marketing ploy. But it is just so strange. So Batgirl won't be flying onto HBO Max screens, but a select group of insiders is getting to see the film during secret screenings on a Warner Brothers lot this week. So multiple sources tell The Hollywood Reporter, and apparently they are said to be for people who worked on the movie, both cast and crew, as well as representatives and executives. So a select group of people. Very, very select group of insiders. So one source described them as funeral screenings, held before the film was sent off to an undisclosed afterlife with the footage locked away in a vault, either physical or digital. Because that's the thing, all the digital stuff was removed from the servers. Now, again, so cast there's people in the cast that were bad-mouthing Warner Brothers. And again, like Kevin Smith joined in on this as well because he's an absolute, he's basically a retard. Mouthing off that, you can't cancel this film because she's Latinx. It's a real bad look. Shut up. Shut up. The colour of your skin and your heritage has got nothing to do whether a crap film should be in the bin. It's just not. And the fact that you're relying on that as an argument for people to see it just goes to show that there is literally no merit to people seeing it, if that's the only argument you have. But it is odd that they're choosing to do these funeral screenings, as it were. Like, why even bother showing it to anyone? Why? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Again, maybe it's a marketing ploy. I doubt it. But it doesn't make any sense to me why you would bother showing people. And especially why, if this is normal routine, why would you even bother telling people that this is what you're doing? Like, I get it. It's headlines. But it seemingly confuses me a little bit as to why this is even being spoken about, if this is the norm, at least. So, again, interesting that they note them as funeral screenings. I quite like that term. But on August 2nd, Batgirl became the most talked about film in the world. Now, the reason why that is the case is because it is unheard of that a studio would just scrap all but $100 million film. It's just rare. It's unprecedented. This is the first of its kind. But hopefully not the last, because there's been way too many shitty films that have been released, and it's just a waste of everyone's time. Now they chose to take a tax write-off, or tax write-down instead. And it's interesting because David Zaslav is essentially seeking a $3 billion cost-saving exercise, and this obviously is sort of part of that. Now, Batgirl was deep in post-production when Warner's cancelled the project, but was still far from complete, with temp visual effects and score. Now, it was enough for them to test screen. The film had previously held a single test screening, like I said, and that was the only time members of the public saw a cut. I did a video on that, and I was like, it wasn't received very well, people called me a liar, and then a couple of weeks later, I was proven right because they scrapped the film. Now, one question swirling around Batgirl is whether it could become the next Zack Snyder's Justice League. No. No one wanted to see this film to begin with, and anyone trying to get that off the ground is an idiot. An abandoned film that later sees the light of day, but Batgirl is different for multiple reasons. Sources note, Justice League was not a tax write-down for the studio. It was released in theatres, and there was no legal reason an alternate version could not exist down the road. If the studio were to release Batgirl, it would run afoul of rules that allow Warner Brothers Discovery to claim a tax write-down. So that's interesting. I guess that kind of reveals that they're dead set on this, which makes sense. Now, what's more, filmmakers Adil El Arbi and Bilal Fallah say they do not personally have access to any footage, and no, they shouldn't. I don't understand why people are so fixated on... one argument that came through was that, it's art and they should have access so they can, show stuff on their resume. Sure, I get that. If the film was good, if it was released, this is not a film that's going to be released, therefore it shouldn't be on anyone's resume. And there's few reasons for that. One, it's not been released, it's not for the public to see anyway. Therefore, it's not a representation of actually released work that a studio wanted. So they can't then go and take that to another studio and go, well, look, here we did this great work. The studio signed off on this. They didn't. This is footage that the studio did not approve in the end. So it's not completed. It's not footage that they should be able to show off. And if so, that's a really bad representation of their own work, right? And that goes into the second argument, is that if it's bad, why would you want to show it off? Weird. But yeah, they tried to steal it, and they'll talk about art and stuff like that. I just don't get it. It's not a good argument to be like, yeah, pro-theft. No. But yeah, sources suggest that Warner's might make the drastic move of actually destroying its Batgirl footage as a way to demonstrate to the IRS that there will never be any revenue from the project, and thus it should be entitled to the full write-down immediately. Other sources dispute that notion. Noting that there are other projects that still have footage locked away that will never see the light of day, such as HBO's first Game of Thrones spin-off pilot, Blood Moon, an hour of television that not even author J.R.R. Martin has seen. There's also the possibility that Warner's could, down the road, decide Batgirl is worth releasing and pay back the government its tax liability. But it looks like it's done. What do you guys think? Funeral screenings. Interesting.